Hello, good morning. I am preparing this video because March 30 we don't have meeting because I will be applying tests, and I prepared a very short assignment for you to complete. You just have to open your assignment to have attendance. The work is very similar to the one we worked on March 29. Check this out. Rick's trailer is 48 feet long. The width is equal to the height. If the volume inside the trailer is 3072 cubic feet, can you find the weight? Volume is equal. This is the formula you will need, right? Width times height times length. You know width is equals to height. You can say they're both equals to x. Let's say both equals to x. Then you have the volume equals x times the length is 48. So apply this, you're going you're going to be able to find the value of the width. Next, we have a quick, just a few slides to explain that we learned to apply quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations. But we can use any method. Those are the methods we learned. We use the factor and the zero product rule. I'm going to show a few examples. We use the square root property and complete the square if necessary. And finally, the quadratic formula. 3 different methods. Let me show real quick how to begin, how to start, right? Let's say you have this example. X squared plus 2x equals 3. And let's write here each kind of method. The first one, the zero product rule, factor and zero product rule. I'm just gonna show the beginning. Okay, factor out, and we have x squared plus 2x, and you can move this to the left hand side because minus 3 equals 0. You can factor it out. Find the AC equals 1 times negative 3, and B equals 2. Find two numbers, the multiplied is equal to negative 3, and the sum is 2, and you can factor out because the numbers are negative 1 and 3. X minus 1 times x plus 3 equals 0. So if this is 0, you need to have x minus 1 equals 0. If this is 0, you have x plus 3 equals 0. You find the solutions using this method, factor out. Another method is square root property and completing the square. You can complete the square here. X squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1. Right? Because this is a perfect square trinomial, and you can write this as x plus 1 squared equals to 4. And then you're going to have applying here the square root property, and this is positive or negative. So x plus 1 equals negative 2, or x plus 1 equals to 2. And then you're going to have one of the answers here, and the other answer right here, negative 3. Negative 3 or 1, the same as the factoring out, you're going to find the same answers, right? Because check this out. To have this equals to 0, have x equals to 1. To make this equals to 0, x equals to negative 3. And finally, the last option, the last way of calculating it, of finding the solutions, is using the quadratic formula. Okay? And we have been using this is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus minus 4ac over 2a. If you try and apply the quadratic formula, you're going to find the same solutions. X equals 1, negative 1, sorry, 1 or negative 3. The same thing here, x equals negative 3 or 1. So no matter the methods that you use, you can use the factoring out, you can use the method of completing the squares, you can use the method, the quadratic formula, you're going to find the same answer. Let's work real quick on a few questions of the quiz, and you're going to understand. The quiz, the assignment today is solve the quadratic equation by using any methods. The first one, you don't need to factor out, it's already factored. You can apply the first method that you have the factor out and the zero product rule. So apply here. If you have this whole thing equals to 0, that means one of the terms is going to be equals to 0. We can make 2t plus 5 equals to 0, t equals to negative 5 over 2, or this other one, t minus 1 equals to 0, t equals positive 1. So the answer is going to be negative 5 over 2 or 1. Okay? So we're not using the quadratic formula, but we could use the quadratic formula, but in this situation it's quicker, it's easier to apply the different methods, the zero product rule methods. Check this other one, letter D. We can apply the square root property. And don't forget to have negative or positive on the other side, right? So this simplified. So we have x minus 3 equals to positive or negative square root of 16. And square root of 16 is 4. So we have two solutions. The first solution, x minus 3 equals negative 4. X equals negative 4 plus 3, negative 1. And second solution, x minus 3 equals positive 4. X equals positive 4 plus 3, 7. So the answers are x equals negative 1 and 7. And finally, you can use the quadratic formula that we learned. And let's say you have here on letter J 4y squared plus 8y minus 5 equals 0. We can find A equals 4, B equals 8, and C equals negative 5, right? Plugging into the formula, y equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now plugging the numbers. Let's plug in the numbers. Negative b is negative 8 plus or minus the square root, and b squared is 64, 8 squared, minus 4 times 4, 16, times negative 5, 80, right? No, sorry, 4 times 4, 16, times negative 4, positive 80. Over 2 times 4. This is equals negative 8 plus or minus square root of 144 over 8. And this is equals negative 8 plus or minus 12 over 8. The answers are y equals negative 8 minus 12, negative 20. divide by 8, negative 20 divided by 8, you can divide by 4, the numerator and denominator, so you have negative 5 over 2, and negative 8 plus 12, positive 4, divide by 8, you can simplify 1 over 2. Those are the answers. Y equals negative 5 over 2 and 1 over 2. Today I'm not share all the answers, just these few questions. Example A, D, and J. If you need to compare, to check the answers of the other questions, use the app, the photo app, okay? Photomath, Photomath app. Click on the Photomath app, take a picture of the equation that you are working, you are calculating. After you do your calculations, compare with the number that you find on the Photomath app. If you got the same result, means probably it's right, you can submit the answer. If it's wrong, if it's a different result, you can just click the method that you used and you can choose here. Solve using the quadratic formula, solve using the completing the square formula, or the zero rule, zero product rule. Select quadratic formula or any method that you want, and you're going to see the steps and compare with your calculations. Okay, that's it. Thank you, and we will be back on Wednesday with our regular meetings.